first major factor here is demand. I mentioned this earlier, but every major industry, I have my notes right here, every major industry saw increases in job openings. 113% for manufacturing, 42% in retail, 38% in business services, 14% in construction. I can go on and on, but every major industry saw a huge increase in vacancies or job openings. And when you combine all those up, that's what this salmon colored line is. It's the number of job openings in the U.S. by month from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it hit an all-time high of around 11 million earlier in 2021, and by November of 2021, it was at 10.6 million. And you can just see by this chart that it's kind of an unusual surge of demand for labor, because the last recession before COVID in 2007 through 2009, that last recession, it took over 6 years for the number of job openings to just get back to where it was before the recession happened. Well, in 2020, when we had the COVID recession, it took just 12 months for job openings to recover. And since then, they're 50% above where they were before. So just a huge surge in demand for workers across every major industry. Now, the supply side, this is the blue line, this is the number of unemployed people, that's steadily fallen. You know, the pandemic, when it hit in 2020, was a shock to the labor market. Unlike anything in US history, we had over 20 million people. You see that blue spike, who were either furloughed or unemployed, and the unemployment rate surged to nearly 15%. Well, since then, that blue line has recovered. A lot of people have been put back into the labor force or got a job, and so it's down the number of unemployed people to 6.8 million. And so this gap of 3.8 million, I talk about this chart. If you've heard me speak before, I like to mention this chart because the visual here of 3.8 million gap between job openings and potential job seekers is huge. It's unprecedented in the last 20 years. One thing I will note, though, is that unemployed people is not the only way to think about the labor force. There's actually 5.6 million people who say that they want a job, but are not actively looking for work. And so they're not actually counted in this blue line. That 5.6 million people, that's a shadow labor force, as I like to call it. And frankly, economists are still puzzling over when that labor force will really rebound. But the point here is that recruiting costs surge so much because demand outstrips supply. That's the first factor.